Hello, my name is Krista James, and this video is for the use and intent of my business class, and that will be Business 475. We are currently discussing the social performances of an organization, and the choice organization that we're discussing is Apple. We were asked, in regards to Apple, to specify the nature, structure, and the types of products of a service, and to identify two key factors in the organization, internal environment that can affect its success, and provide the explanation to support it. Well, first, we need to discuss the different product lines that Apple actually offers. Apple first started off with their computer system, which is currently recognized as Mac. Mac was offered to customers since 1998. Then we have the iPod. The iPod is a digital music player, and it was introduced in October of 2001. And it took over, of course, for the Walkman. I don't know if you're quite familiar, but the Walkman was a device that you carry around with you on your hip, used to play cassette players, and then they switched over to being digital. And basically, you could download your music, and that's when, of course, iPod became popular. We also have the iPhone. The iPhone, of course, is a smartphone that Apple offers, and it has been overpowering the market since January of 2007. And I currently am recording off of my iPad. Hence why I have the headset in my ear. Definitely a nifty gadget to have as well when using the iPhone. The other item we have is the iPad. The iPad is a tablet, of course, and it has been on the market since January of 2010. We then have Apple Watch. Apple Watch is a smartwatch that not only tells the time, but it also keeps track of your health and fitness. The Apple Watch is also used to receive your text messages that come from your iPhone. The handy gadget was released in September of 2014. The next item we have is the Apple TV. Apple TV is a device that links up, of course, with the user's televisions, and it allows you to access your iTunes or your different Apple libraries in general. You can rent movies. You can shop in the Apple Store. You can use the other video devices or sources, should I say, such as YouTube and the popular Netflix. The Apple TV was released in sometime in 2007. Then we have Apple, of course. It has its own operating system, which is the iOS and the Mac OS. The Mac OS, of course, is used on the Mac devices for like your laptops and your personal computers. The iOS is for your iPhone, iPad, your iPod, as well as any of your smart devices. There are also the Watch OS and the TV OS. One cool thing that I find that Apple has is remote. They have the remote desktop systems, which is pretty cool that they have their own. My favorite Apple is my favorite part of Apple, of course, is their music, should I say. I enjoy being able to download my favorite playlist that follows me basically everywhere I go. I could use it on my iPod, my iPhone itself, as well as my iPad. It depends on the type of setting that that I'm in as to which item that I would use. Typically, I do use a lot of things. I use my iPhone for a lot of things, but whenever it needs to charge, or depending if I'm traveling somewhere, I use my iPad. And then of course if I'm working out or something, I'll pull out my iPod every now and again. Sparingly use it. I basically use my iPhone for probably everything. Um, the other thing that I found to be interesting that Apple is currently working on, and that is that they are producing electric vehicles. The vehicles may be on the market probably sometime in the year of 2020, and these vehicles are actually designed to be driverless. Basically, they're going to be robotic, which is mind-boggling. To be honest, I don't know how I feel about that just yet. I'm still quite fearful because again, it is operating off like satellites, or we use our GPS systems, which comes from satellite sources, but to actually have a car that is steering itself and driving by itself, it will take definitely some time to get used to. The last thing that I researched and found out about Apple is that Apple actually has its own energy, or should I say their own solar energy system. The solar energy systems at this time power farms in California and Nevada. Apple recently acquired regulation rights to construct a landfill gas energy plant in North Carolina, which is quite awesome because I'm here in South Carolina. So I was like, my neighboring state has something big going on for itself. Now, currently, the data center that Apple has already in North Carolina is entirely run off of energy from renewable sources, which is kind of cool. So, way to go, Apple. Or definitely, should I say, way to go, green. So, but definitely that was the gist of what all Apple has to offer to us, and it's they're targeting all the lines that customers may be wanting to get into or utilize, should I say, and that's definitely going to affect the success of Apple being having your ear to the ground, being in everything, and also not only being in everything and are part of everything, but inventing new things for us to use. That is definitely intriguing. The next thing that we're going to discuss is the 5 ways in which the primary stakeholders can influence the organization financial performances. Well, first, the 5 ways I believe that the primary stakeholders can influence the organization financial performances is through its customers, its employees, their business associates, the shareholders actually themselves, and the surrounding communities. Customers can be impacted through price, so the stakeholders need to take cost-effective measures when looking at new things to present to its customers. Definitely want to make sure it's affordable and that they have good quality, because no matter how much an item costs, if the quality is well worth it, we will pay for it as customers. The other thing is employees are the employees themselves are the face of the company. So they stakeholders on down to the members of management want to be careful as far as who they choose when it comes down to the employees themselves. They also influence what the employees, that is, they influence what improvements that need to take place, because they are the voice and ears of the customers. Especially if you work in the customer service side, you get to hear the rants and raves of customers when they are dealing with your business. So it's definitely something that you want to listen to. And the other items is, as I mentioned, the business associates. Business associates affect the more of the company, so the stake, or should I say morale. of the company. So the stakeholders need to be choicy when it comes down to selecting their partnerships. You want to definitely partner with someone who is reliable and who has a good face as well. The shareholders need to be open-minded in all things that they are, dealing with, because they're going to be accountable for the flow of the business, basically. The community is affected by everyone's actions. An area can evolve into something great because of the type of business that's in their community. Or they can take a nosedive, and that can definitely affect the community as well. The last item that we're discussing would be the controversy, corporate social responsibilities concerns that we may have with Apple. I have a personal concern with Apple, and that is the fact that Apple has been known to slow down their older models when they launch new ones. The talk off when Apple did this for their iPhones is that Apple basically was like, well, when your battery runs down, it declines. It's basically, when it declines, it doesn't help power the peak processor usage time frame. So, during the peak hours, if you're on your iPhone and you're trying to talk or you're trying to utilize the web, Apple is blaming it on your battery. Okay, so anywho, so what Apple did was they decided to offer battery replacements for those who had warranties, which really sucked, because if you're not a person who had a warranty for whatever reason on your phone, then you'd just be kind of like out of luck when it came down to that. But other states have picked up on that lawsuit that Apple currently has out in regards to them slowing down their operating systems when they put out something new. And that's only because they want you to get the new product. We hear you loud and clear, Apple. But anywho, that is all the research material that I gathered from the social performances of an organization. Thank you.